Welcome back to Boston. Has entered the chat. George Balekji, Travis Thomas here on NESN Nation. Trav.
Man, come on.
Just over 12 hours.
This is therapy. Come in, everyone.
Still not over it. So, Red Sox fans, we're here with you guys. Boston sports fans, we're here with you guys. Rafael Devers traded to the San Francisco Giants yesterday, coming on the heels of him hitting a home run to seal a 2-0 win over the Yankees.
Sweep!
To sweep the New York Yankees. The Red Sox get a game above 500, a half game out of the wild card spot, and getting ready for a West Coast trip. Rafael Devers was on the team plane to leave for Seattle and said, hey, man, you're now going to the San Francisco Giants. You can get off the plane.
Woo!
And then Red Sox fans found out. So Rafael Devers traded for 4 prospects, 3 of those being pitchers, 1 a first-round pick last year.
Yeah.
Rafael Devers, man, second best hitter in the AL, only behind the right-handed Barry Bonds and Aaron Judge. The best DH in baseball this season. One of the best hitters in all of baseball year after year. And the Red Sox, best player, no longer with the Red Sox.
It's so much to unpack in a sense of the timing of the trade, to me, is very questionable because of what you said. You sweep the Yankees, it feels like they finally have momentum.
Yeah.
I mean, this team's been trying to catch lightning in a bottle all year. We talk about it every morning here on Boston Has Entered the Chat about, okay, the bats aren't doing well, but the pitching's holding up. Well, now the bats are alive, but the pitching's a mess. Finally feels like everything came together. You cut down the errors. You're winning late, close games. Think about this, George. 2 weeks ago, if I had told you this team will beat the Yankees here at Fenway based on pitching, defense, and not making mistakes, you would have been like, bro, you crazy. Crazier than you already are. But they did.
Yeah.
So, finally the momentum's there. Rappy's raking. And then you trade him. Then, so that's questionable. Then the return on the trade is questionable. That's what you got. You couldn't have got more than that if you shopped him around, if you waited. That's questionable. And then, hey, from the Giants' standpoint, good for them. It's a good team. It's a team you're going to see here shortly. I mean, they got one hell of a player who's probably feeling a little spited right now, a little spiteful. I would not be shocked to see Rappy at first base balling for them. So you have that aspect, and then now I'm left with the question of what happens in your clubhouse. Was this guy in Rappy such a menace and such a pain in the arse with whatever was going on with the front office that the clubhouse is like good riddance? Or is this a situation where it splinters the clubhouse, where they're like, what, you traded who? For what? There's so many questions, George, and it's more questions than answers. And the timing of everything is really what baffles me. It really baffles me.
This is a guy that's 28, 29 years old, was under a team control for 8.5 more years, and is one of the best hitters in baseball year in, year out. And as a designated hitter, has been the best guy hitting in that spot this season. Having a career year by all the metrics, by all the measurements, by all the projections, and purely what we're seeing on the diamond too. And this is a guy that has a Hall of Fame caliber bat and a Hall of Fame caliber potential as well. He gets traded for 4 prospects. Now, San Fran takes on all the money. That's what's big for the Red Sox.
That's huge.
And we're seeing the reports come out. He demanded to trade back in spring training. And you go back to spring training with Rafael Devers. When Alex Bregman, the whispers were that the Red Sox were pursuing him, it was, hey, it's a second baseman. He comes in, he doesn't take a rep at second, he goes right to third. And Devers said, I play third. I'm not a DH. But then he demands a trade when he's asked to start taking reps at third and first.
That's right.
Injuries happen. He's asked to go to first, and he publicly calls out the front office. There was stuff happening behind closed doors, we're finding out now. There was stuff happening publicly. We see the reports, they feel like it was unsalvageable.
His quote was, do your job. That was his direct quote to the front office.
Towards Craig Breslow, Chief Baseball Officer of the Boston Red Sox.
Do your job.
The Red Sox, by making this move, they're putting it on the young guys. They're putting it on the Jared Durants, who are now vets in this league, or older, but on the young guys coming up. And when you say splinter, fracture, what are we going to see? I do think they rally around one another because this is a young lineup looking at each other going, all right, it's on us.
It's on us.
We're a half game out. We have an ace in Garrett Crochet. The pitching is showing up. And we have a while before the trade deadline. Let's give them a reason to buy.
Sure.
This is the move before the move. You free up the money. What can you swing now with assets, with prospects, and now this space under the tax, maybe to get immediate impact?
Okay, let's stay there. So then your question isn't so much the team rallying and come together. You do believe that. I question. I don't know. Your question is production.
Yes. Tristan Casas is down. His knee blew up on him.
I'm with you.
We hope to see him back on a diamond within the next few years. That's 30 home runs and 100 RBI.
Right.
Rafael Devers is now out in the NL.
Massive production.
That's 35 home runs and 100, 120 RBI.
Massive.
Alex Bregman's still in the IL with a quad strain.
That's right.
Where are the runs going to come from? Who is the one thing that you could say, too, hey, they needed help at first. Abraham Toro and Roman Anthony have been good at that spot. Who's the DH now?
Sure.
Because you never had to go, well, we got to figure out the DH. Masataka Yoshida, okay.
But you're not getting that same production.
No, he's not even close to Rafael Devers. Again, one of the best hitters in all baseball. The best hitter for the Red Sox. Their best player. And now he's wearing a different uniform. That's why I think there's moves before moves.
Right.
What do you do with the DH spot? I think this team rallies. They need to give the front office a reason to buy. But can they do that? I mean, this is a team we just saw win 5 straight. 3-4, 2-4-2.
Yeah.
That was their run output for the Red Sox. It's not like the offense was going bananas. And in a 2-0 win to finish that sweep over the Sox, Devers had that home run. They need a bat like
Let me stay with you because I'm walking with you here. So just kind of thinking out loud, it's almost as if you think by the time we get to the deadline, this team will be looking to buy and get another bat and get a DH. That's sort of where you're headed here to help with the production lost with a Rafael Devers.
I don't know.
Am I hearing you right?
You got to, but that's the DH.
It depends where you are, too, in the standings at that time.
That's the DH. You're not going to find someone like him. He is one of one.
Right.
And if a team has him, they figure it out. And even the money he's making, where he's making $31 million a year, Juan Soto's making $51 million a year. Vlad Jr., $35 million a year. At his price, yes, he's just a DH. That's what Vlad is. That's what Juan Soto is.
That's a price.
They're minus defensively. They're plus with the bat.
Yeah.
That's a price. And you had him under team control. Untenable. Behind the scenes, behind closed doors, this is something that the Red Sox didn't want in their clubhouse because they see what they have with these young guys, and they want them to have an Alex Bregman to look up to, not a Rafael Devers. That's what this trade tells me.
Okay, so I'm walking down this path with you. Is there any part of all of this, big picture, that feels like you're punting on this season? And it's just about the youth movement. You got your 3 guys up now, in Meyer and Anthony and Campbell. And, hey, you know what? We're playing for the future now. Whatever happens this season, cool, but we're not really caught up. I'm speaking big picture here. We're playing for the future. Can you see that as far as the flip side of the coin?
100%, whether you agree with it or not. I don't agree with that.
I don't agree. I hate it.
Half game out from the wild card. You just won 3 straight series.
You have momentum.
You swept your biggest rival. And their boogeyman, your guy, was the reason you won that final game with that insurance home run later.
That's right.
It was 1-0. He made it 2-0. And now we'll see. Hey, not just us. We saw just outpour from around the league. Here's Alex Cora on Instagram. Simple caption, photo of him and Rafael Devers hugging after that 18 World Series win.
Yeah.
Gracias at Rafael Devers. We know Alex Cora, that was his guy. Now Rafael Devers with the San Francisco Giants. And we saw the tweets come in as well, Trev, from plenty of fans around the league. Here was one. Brian Koch is tweeting at us, what the hell are the Red Sox doing? They've traded away their 2 best hitters of the last 15 years for scraps. And I get that's a tough part, too, for the fans to wrap their mind around, because you go back to the Mookie trade. Connor Wong, Alex Verdugo, Jeter Downs. Connor Wong's the only guy left, and he's a backup catcher from that.
Yeah.
This trade, Kyle Harrison has a ERA over 4.4 over his career. He's just been optioned to Worcester. Jordan Hicks, 6.4 ERA this season. He's on the IL. James Tibbs, 22 years old. Jose Bello, 20-year-old right-handed pitcher from the DR. Prospects. Here's from Thomas. Should have put a glove on.
I'm actually with Thomas here.
And this is the other part of it. Rafael Devers is not free of criticism.
No.
In this. Craig Breslow, Alex Cora, they're not free of criticism either, but neither is Rafael Devers.
Yes.
Because there are the other reports. Buy in. Be a team player.
You're making $300-some million, bro.
Yep.
Buy in. Do whatever they tell you to do.
You said, I'm a third baseman. You were adamant about staying in the field. And yes, they come to you with a different position, but they say, now you got to play first. And you go, no.
Right.
If it's about pride and you want to be a guy that plays in the field, that's a corner infield position. We've seen plenty of people do that. I understand why he was very unhappy how the communication was handled, from getting Bregman to the position switch and all of that. Right? But what happened with the DH conversation? Who delivered that to him? What happened with the first base conversation? It was Craig Breslow, not Alex Cora.
Yes.
When he was publicly speaking out against the front office, that was John Henry and Sam Kennedy that met with him, not Alex Cora or Craig Breslow. Miscommunication from top to bottom. It led to this. Cora has some blame. Craig Breslow has some blame. But Rafael Devers has some blame. He gave them a reason to trade him.
I think he has a majority of the blame. I don't give a damn what they say and how they say it. If you're making that kind of coin, do it. And it helps the team win. And by the way, first base is much easier than playing that damn hot corner. DH is much easier than playing that hot corner. So if I'm Rappy, I'm sorry. If I'm in his team or his camp or I'm one of his close friends, during all this, bro, you better go get that damn glove and get the first. What's wrong with you? You messing up the money. Now, he's going to get all his money. We understand that in baseball. And now he's on a damn good team as well at the Giants. I mean, that's another topic
and
for
we'll
another
see what happens here.
Chat.
Matt Chapman's on the IL.
He's on the IL.
Does he play up third right away? Does he move to first?
I bet he plays first,
I
George.
think spite drives him to want to play first.
And he's going to ball out.
Hey, you guys know you can reach us on 617-790-0928 to leave a voicemail. We got one for you guys right here. We want to be your voice, you the fans. Use Boston as enter the chat to enter the chat with us.
Come on.
Here's a voicemail from a Red Sox fan.
Hi, this is Ellen from Quincy. I just want to say that the whole thing with Devers has to do with money. We can hope that they're going to do something at the trade deadline. That's not going to happen. They don't spend any money. It's obvious with the people that they got for Devers that they're not worried about making the playoffs this year. It's all about money. It's horrible. I don't even know if I want to watch them anymore, and I love them. But not having Devers makes it so much less exciting. Thank you. And it is, you're right about the young players. They shouldn't have this much pressure. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Ellen, love you.
Love you, Ellen. Keep watching, Ellen.
Keep watching, because watch the young prospects.
That's right. Keep watching.
See how they deal with the pressure? But that's the fan voice right there.
Yes.
Because I understand everything Ellen's coming from. And to be honest, man, like I have Red Sox, my friends that are Red Sox fans texting me, Red Sox fans messaging us on social media, and they're saying, I can't watch this team anymore.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to say still do it because I understand. And it goes back to Mookie, who was dragged through arbitration and then traded for nothing. And now it's Rafael Devers, traded for nothing. A team, I tell you all the time, man, you got here in 2022.
Yeah.
I was lucky to get here in 2021.
Yeah, you were.
I saw the ALCS run.
That's right.
This city is different, nothing like that.
That's right.
This is a team that we kept saying they have the talent and the potential to do it.
Yeah.
Now I don't know. Baseball, it's about pitching, man, but you got to score runs. And that was the best guy at scoring runs, and he's wearing a different uniform now. That's a tough part. Now here's our guys on 3/10 left, TC, Alex Speier. Hear from them as they were breaking down this Rafael Devers trade.
You've been through these before. This usually is the type of deal that happens in mid to late July, not mid-June. So what do you make of the timing of this and these two teams pulling something like this off as early as they did?
Well, I think the first thing I look at is the actual baseball trade. The Giants made a great trade. They just got a hell of an offensive player that they desperately need to go with their really good pitching. I think this is a stamp for them that puts them in a position to challenge the Dodgers and be one of the leading guys for the leading teams for the wild card. I think on the return side, Kyle Harrison has struggled and is possibly at best a fourth starter or maybe a bullpen piece. Jordan Hicks is a bullpen piece. He's failed as a starter. The kid that they got from Tibbs kid from Florida State has really struggled in high A, and his main thing that he can do is hit, and he hasn't done that. He's probably a bat-only guy at this point. So when I look at it from an evaluation standpoint, I think the Giants clearly won the trade. But this runs a lot deeper than just that. And what it tells me is the Red Sox really wanted to get rid of Rafael Devers because I think if they put him on the market, they could have got a better package back. I think if you waited to the trading deadline or in the offseason, you could have got a better package. But I think he must be becoming somewhat of a nuisance in the clubhouse in the sense that the young players, this is not the guy that should be the leader for them. But it's a heck of an offensive player that you just gave up.
No doubt about that. As you said, Alex, having one of his best years, the plate discipline has been outstanding. A team without Alex Bregman right now, leaning on him as the sort of battleship of the fleet, right? That big bat in the number 2 spot of the lineup. And we saw it play out publicly, right? We don't have to rehash the whole thing, but you go back to the beginning of spring training when he was asked if he was DH, and he said no. He didn't ask for a translation. As soon as the question was out of English, he said no, but he did end up DHing. And then when Tristan Casas went down, he did not move to first base. And John Henry flew to Kansas City on a Friday night with Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow. And it was John Henry, we are told, who had the meeting with the player, with Devers that night. And you would think after a meeting where the owner comes to the $300+ million player that there would be some movement on, but there wasn't. He never took grounders at first base with the Red Sox, right? He's gone back out. We learned later there was a groin issue he was dealing with, and that certainly impacts all of it. But for this deal to be done now, and Alex, the question I have for you at the beginning of my question is, have you heard any reports? I've read reports. Have you heard anything about him being shopped around? Did they talk to other teams? What do you know about the process leading to this trade?
I want to be very clear about what I do and don't know. And right now, I don't know more than I do know. But I definitely did hear from at least one other team that had heard from the Sox within the last week about whether or not they might be interested in engaging on Rafael Devers. There were no substantive discussions with that team, but it was a team that wasn't the Giants that the Red Sox connected with. So you do wonder a little bit whether or not this was related to. I've been watching this young group of Red Sox guys coming up together for a while, and the kind of the sense in the organization that it will be ultimately a culturally transformative group, where the dynamic the kind of win, the loving to win ethos of the guys who talk constantly about duck boats and Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer, along the way, Christian Campbell joining that group. They have often talked about the future that they see with those guys setting the tone. And so you do wonder whether or not this trade was perhaps hastened by that intersection once Roman Anthony was called up. That is purely speculative. But again, I had heard from at least one other team that the Red Sox had sought to engage them, or at least kind of felt out their interest in talking about Devers within the last week.
JP, when a team decides they're going to move on from a superstar, how do you make sure that does not become a disruptive event for the rest of the clubhouse? They're on a long flight across the country right now as we speak. How does Alex Cora get everybody on the same page? What does Craig Breslow have to do here as the head of baseball ops to make sure that a team that suddenly has a little bit of momentum doesn't let this move scuttle their season?
Well, I think Cora will do a really good job with this. He'll pull the team together tomorrow in the clubhouse, have a meeting. I would assume that Craig Breslow at some point will get out on the West Coast and address the team. I think it's important that whoever is making the decisions is front and center. This is the time as a front office executive where you have to show the team that you're in it with them, and they're going to all want explanations. Instead of trying to explain to 26 guys individually, you sit them down and you say, this is why we did it. This is what we were hoping to do. If anybody got any questions, I'm here to answer them right now. But I'm front and center for the organization. I think it's going to be a little bit of a shock to some of the younger players. What does Christian Campbell look around and say? I just signed an 8-year deal, so wow, I could be dealt at some point too. But I think now it comes down to, I hate to use this word because I don't think it's the right word in some sense, but it is some crisis management that the front office has to get down there and explain. Listen, we were going to trade Roy Halladay one year, and we had a really good package from Philadelphia, but Philadelphia didn't want to put the one extra piece we wanted, and Halladay was aware of the trade. We had told him, but they wouldn't put it in, and we went to him and said, listen, we can't make this trade because it doesn't help us unless we get these players. And he understood, but he was in lockstep with us. So I think being able to communicate to the players and to the organization is going to be big right now.
Alex, the last member of the 2018 World Series championship team has been dealt. Literally the end of an era. And this is a team that Alex Cora has, well, there it is. Alex Cora has talked about this team in some ways being too young, right? That leaning on the veterans, right? We didn't see Meyer or Anthony in the starting lineup today because you want to get Romy Gonzalez and Rob Refsnyder and some veterans and guys who can hit left-handed pitching. I understand that. But what does all that do now to this team that just got younger today? How does this affect the leadership void?
I don't know. I mean, I think that there are going to be a lot of people there who don't know either. This is not an event where you can exactly predict what the fallout, what the dominoes are going to be. This is an introduction of kind of a chaotic event, and there's a chance that it goes in a lot of different directions. It is possible that something like this, theoretically, like, can it galvanize a team? Sure, right? Like we saw when the Red Sox dealt Manny Ramirez, it was in 2008. It was certainly a shock for the Red Sox, a shock for the players. Everyone knew about his unhappiness. Nonetheless, it was a startling event, and it was one that the Red Sox kind of, pulled together from and moved forward. Of course, in that case, they got an all-star back in Jason Bay, so it was a little bit different. Nomar Garciaparra, we dealt with the shock of him being traded and thinking, "Whoa, this is quite a landscape changer." And again, that was a case where there was a cultural change that happened in the aftermath of that. We've seen, we lived it, and we also saw the comeback, kind of reflecting upon what happened inside of the Red Sox after Nomar Garciaparra was traded, and how there was a lighter culture that existed inside of the walls of the Red Sox. But, there are other times when it totally goes off the rails. 2014, the Red Sox end up dealing guys like John Lester and John Lackey at the deadline. Those guys weren't politicking. Well, certainly Lester wasn't trying to leave Boston. He wanted to spend the rest of his career there. There was a shock there, and the Red Sox went down the chute. So it is, you don't know. At least, JP, like, that's my sense of it. You have a much better, when you make a deal like this, do you think that you know what direction kind of the, let's call it the intangibles of a roster are going to go?
I think the Red Sox have totally bought into being young. I think they're really convinced that their young players are the way to go, and I have no problem with that. I think we should back up a second, too, and just make a point here. The Giants might be one of the only teams in baseball left that are run by a baseball guy that would make this decision to take this contract on, because I can tell you the prior front office would have never made this trade. So there's probably only a few teams out there that have some baseball people that would be willing to take a contract like this on. But if I'm looking at it from the Giants standpoint and I can handle the money, I gave up nothing and I got a really, really good player. So that's the one I'm scratching my head on. But I think this trade is all about where the Red Sox want to go, the culture they want to have, the precedent they want to set, the environment they want to play in. And I think they're entrusting Alex Cora to keep this ship going in the right direction. And I think he's the right guy to do it. But I just think deep down, they just really wanted to get rid of Devers.
Thanks to TC, Alex Speier, the whole crew on 310 to Left, man. We'll take a quick break here on Boston's End of the Chat, but when we're back, Jared Carrabis of Section 10, Travel Chief of Baseball, biggest Red Sox fan we'll ever meet in our life. He'll be on the show as well. George Balekji, Travis Thomas. Take a quick break and be right back after this with more from Boston Has Entered the Chat. Welcome back to Boston Has Entered the Chat. We got him, Jared Carrabis, host of 310 to Left, Tribal Chief of Baseball, and literally the biggest Red Sox fan you will meet. Host of Section 10, excuse me. Jared, I know, a lot to go through. Mentals are everywhere. I want to do the check first. 12 hours post-trade. How you doing, man?
Not good. I feel like it's one of those things where something crazy happens the night before, and you wake up the next morning and you check your phone to make sure, like, did that really happen? And that's what I did this morning. It still doesn't feel real, and I'm excited not excited. I'm looking forward to this press conference with Craig Breslow and Sam Kennedy. It's going to be fascinating to hear what they have to say about this.
Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead, George.
So, Jared, when this goes down and we see Rafael Devers traded to the Giants, getting 4 prospects in return, I mean, what do you think led to this? For this to be, a shocker, but also the return to be, you get rid of one of the best hitters in baseball, and all you get is prospects in return. No one immediate impact to make the team better.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things that led to this. I think, obviously there was a lot of poor communication that happened during spring training after the Alex Bregman signing. I think he felt blindsided and disrespected that he was moved off his position at third base. That much was clear because he made himself very clear in spring training publicly. But I think behind closed doors, he probably expressed the interest of not like, I don't think it got to the point where he said, trade me right now. but I do think it got to the point where he probably said something along the lines of, if you really don't want me here, if you think I'm clogging this thing up by moving to DH and not playing a defensive position now because Bregman's here, then why don't you go ahead and move me to a team that actually sees value in me? And I think that sort of started getting the ball rolling on this. And it's just to your point, it's odd. The timing is incredibly odd because not only did the Red Sox just sweep the Yankees, move back above 500, but like Rafi had quotes after the game, and I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, all right, like, now we can start doing some damage. Like, he was looking forward to the future with the Red Sox. He wasn't, doom and gloom and walking around like Eeyore, and it wasn't like that. So, in talking to some of the players, they were like, yeah, no, Rafi's happy. He's good around us. He may be mad at the folks upstairs, but he's good around us. A lot of people wanted to compare it to the Manny Ramirez situation. Manny had gotten to the point where he had worn out his welcome with everybody. Like he's getting in fights with Kevin Youkilis in the dugout, and he's shoving the traveling secretary down the stairs, and he's going up in Yankee Stadium and taking 3 pitches down the middle from Mariano Rivera, and he was doing these like silent protests. Rafi hit a home run the day that he was traded. His teammates still loved him and knew that he was contributing and helping them win baseball games. So it's not comparable to the Manny situation. It's just, I feel very blindsided by it.
Yeah, as Chris Cotillo has been reporting, he's done a great job on this. He said a source with knowledge of the Red Sox, Rafael Devers relationship, described it as unsalvageable situation for both parties. And he also reported that he never demanded a trade. He may have been welcoming one. Conversations have taken place over months. This is something, it feels like it got to a point. You see the tweet up on the screen right now. Also, continuing on the Cotillo report, Devers was frustrated with mixed messaging from different voices in the organization, felt like a scapegoat. He's putting all of this in the reports. The root was what the player felt was disorganized communication from the jump this year. Jared, I understand we go back to this offseason and it's a talks of, hey, when Bregman comes, he'll be a second baseman. He gets there. We know all of that went down. Do you feel like this really was a part where it was unsalvageable? And I'm bringing in Alex Cora, Craig Breslow, Rafael Devers, the leadership and the players in this?
There's no way. I think going back to the Manny situation, how many times did that dude ask to be traded? And then they were like, you know what, Manny, just chill out. And then he went back and hit 40 bombs, drove in 120 runs, and then the Red Sox won the division, got a wild card, won a World Series, what have you. I cannot imagine this was an unsalvageable relationship when you still have 8.5 years left on that contract. Like, the amount of time that was left on that deal is more than the amount of time that Manny Ramirez spent in Boston in total. So I can't. Obviously, he's disgruntled. He's upset. They lied to him. They deceived him. He took that as great disrespect. And I think the one thing that I have to point out is that it's different in the Latin culture than it is anywhere else. Like the whole respect thing. When you have a big $300 million contract, that's a sign of respect. And you're the face of the franchise, but we signed you as a third baseman. Now we're going to move you off your position, not even really give you the heads up that this is what we're thinking, but we're going to do it, and we're going to surprise you with it when you show up to spring training. I think what's ironic about all of this is that we rewind ourselves to the spring training prior. Who was the most vocal person in Red Sox spring training camp about wanting the Red Sox to spend more money and do more win now moves? It was Rafael Devers. He was calling out ownership and the front office, being like, hey, we got an okay squad here, but like, this doesn't feel like we went for it. And so the following offseason, it's like, well, the best available player and the guy that we think fits our roster and our needs, because again, the defense has been horrible this year. It was horrible the year before. It was horrible the year before that. Yeah. Alex Bregman is coming off a Gold Glove at third base. Right. We're looking at the defensive numbers for Devers, and he's not a very good third baseman. So in comes Alex Bregman. Be careful what you wish for. So like, there's a little bit of blame to go around for everyone. It's not just like a Devers got screwed type thing. It's we all could have handled this a little bit better to avoid this.
All right, Jared, look, we're talking in a lot of pieces here, trying to put the puzzle together. I dig that. So I'm just going to ask you straight up. Put your sleuth hat on for me. You're a detective here. One day, your grandkids are going to ask you, what happened with Mookie? You'll have an answer. Hey, what happened with Xander? You'll have an answer. What's your answer when they ask you what happened here with Devers? Because there's a lot of thoughts in that head. I see the wheels spinning, my friend. What will be your definitive, looking back on this years from now, what happened here, Jared? Gut feel and all the information that you know put together for an explanation here.
Yeah, I think it's a very layered answer. I think, so unfortunately, it kind of seems like the $300 million changed the person, which that's going to happen sometimes.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of sensitive egos in play in this situation. I think the money built up Devers' ego. I think that Devers referring to Craig Breslow as the GM, I think that there was another bruised ego there.
Yep.
Because what I've been saying since it happened is you cannot look me in the eye and tell me the Red Sox are a better team today than they were prior to that trade. That's not true. This trade was not because we wanted to address an area of need. That's not what happened here. To what we were just discussing, they deemed it unsalvageable in the moment. I find it really hard to believe that a winter away from this separation at the end of the season and off season, I think that it would have been unsalvageable come spring training next winter? No, I don't. So I think egos got in the way. I think communication was very poor. I think that egos were definitely bruised here, and the Red Sox probably looked at this and said, if you don't want to be here, and we've just battled all the way back to get back into a playoff spot, if you don't want to be a part of this, then okay, we'll send you somewhere else. Because I think when you look at the roster, obviously they've had a lot of injuries. They've had guys that they thought they were going to be able to depend on that are not going to be able to contribute. And if that's the case, they're going to have to fight scratch and claw to get to the playoffs. And if you don't want to be a part of that, if you're not all in on that, then we want someone who is. And so it's kind of just, it's a two sides thing. The Red Sox felt slighted.
Yep.
Rafi felt disrespected. Now he's a San Francisco Giant.
And I get it, that feeling, hey, if you don't want to be here. And maybe there was parts of that in May when they're struggling, but a half game out from the wild card spot, he's the boogeyman for the Yankees, and they just swept them. 3 straight series wins. Yep. That's what's tough for me to get my mind around with all of this, Jared, is, okay, you may have been unhappy now, but to your point, too, like, this season, figure it out. Get into the winter. Time away may be the best thing for everyone, and come back with clearer minds.
Yep.
At this point now, and how this could affect a team that is on a run. Confidence has to be through the roof. Starting pitching showing up. You're winning in different ways, but now pressure is going to shift to the rookies.
Yep.
And Casas is done for the year. Devers is now on a different team. That's 60 home runs, over 200 RBIs, not with the Red Sox this season.
It's not a good place to be. I mean, I think that they did exactly what they said they wouldn't do, which is we're going to gradually bring these young guys up. We're not going to ask them to be the saviors of this team.
Yeah.
We're going to give them time to grow at the big league level. And instead what happened was, Bregman went down. Okay, here comes Marcelo Meyer. Williers down. Here comes Roman Anthony. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, well, where's all the offensive production going to come from? Well, the big three's here. That's where it's going to come from. That's a tough sell. No disrespect to them. I think that they're immensely talented. I think that I love them. I'm very happy that they're here, but it shouldn't have been at the expense of Devers and Willier and, it's a bad situation.
It was part of what I loved bringing in an Alex Bregman. Like, Campbell obviously started opening day lineup, Jared. But when the guys would eventually come up, the pressure wouldn't be on them to perform. And that's with Roman Anthony. Like, he's still figuring out his way at the major league level. But they could look at a Rafael Devers hitting second in this lineup and go, okay, that's the guy, I can be me. Yep. It shifts a lot of pressure. Jarren Duran now has to be the dude. We need to see guys like a Ceddanne Rafaela be smarter with his bat. I think that's what's tough is a half game out from the wild card spot. We haven't seen a postseason appearance since 2021. This city is different when the Red Sox are in the postseason. It is a different, it's palpable excitement. And when you're running, this is what, to me, is the blindside part of it.
If you ask them, they'll tell you they still believe that they're going to be playing baseball in October.
Okay.
I know what the perception is from the outside now. Like, how do you trade your best hitter? Like, unequivocally your best hitter.
Yeah.
Leaps and bounds ahead of the next best guy in the lineup. How do you trade that guy and then tell me that you still believe that you're going to make the postseason? But they do. Okay. And do I think that they still can? Yes. Because this trade, what we have to keep in mind here, this trade did not happen on deadline day. We still have a month and a half to go.
Right.
So if you're Craig Breslow, it's like, yeah, you might be one of the most hated guys in the city right now, but you've got a month and a half to make this right and to calm down the fan base and be like, all right, I understand we traded Rafael Devers. The fans love him. Obviously, he was still contributing and a legend in Red Sox lore.
Right.
But here we go. We just added this guy. You know, I keep bringing up the Manny Ramirez situation. Yes, you traded Manny Ramirez, but you got Jason Bay back. Like, that's a dude that was hitting like 40 bombs and driving in 100 runs. So you removed the problem from the room, but the production was pretty good in his replacement. With this trade, fans are looking at this being like, okay, you traded our middle of the order cornerstone bat, and you got back a relief pitcher with an ERA over 6 and an unproven 23-year-old right-hander that also hasn't been super great at the big league level, and then 2 other, minor league players that no one's ever heard of. No disrespect, but like that's what the fan reaction is. Mm-hmm. So people are very upset about the return. People are upset that Rafi's not here, and Breslow has a lot of questions that he has to answer.
Bro, it's like you're in my notes here, because I swear my question to you was, will this splinter the clubhouse, you think, of guys being like, what the hell? Or will it unite them? It almost sounds like you think this move will unite this crew together. Is that right? Am I hearing you right?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I look at this is over the last couple of years here, I think we've all been looking around being like, who's the leader of this team?
Right.
Rafi's the face of the franchise, but those two do not go hand in hand. Who's the leader? Who's the face? Rafi was the face. He was not the leader. Right. Jarren Duran has emerged as a leader of this team. And he's the type of guy that I haven't even spoken to him, and I already know, like, he's taking it personally that people are writing off this team because Rafi's not here anymore.
Right.
And that trickles down. I think that especially when you look at just how young this group is, the Myers, the Campbells, the Roman Anthonys of the world that have joined this team, they're already looking at this as, well, no one expects us to make the playoffs now because what's the average age of a player on this team? It's got to be like, 25 years old or something like that? Like, they've got to be one of the youngest teams in the league, but young doesn't necessarily mean not good. Like, they are very talented. They absolutely have to replace the loss of Devers. I don't think that they're going to do that successfully, but they're going to have to get some power in the middle of the order somewhere. Maybe that's Roman Anthony who emerges as that guy. He hasn't been that guy since he's been called up, but he certainly has the ability to be that guy, or else he wouldn't be the number 1 prospect in baseball.
Right.
So I don't think it's a fractured clubhouse. I think it's an us against the world. No one believes in us. Let's go out there and prove them wrong clubhouse right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you'll take the ladder in Boston. I mean, that is the mindset when you talk to anyone in Boston, too. F them, screw them. This is our city. You step up. But, Jared, I want to go back real quick to one thing you point out, though. We see the money frees up. The Giants took on the entire payroll. The next step, it's Craig Breslow going through this presser. A lot of time to the deadline and a big offseason. We'll see what the additions are. There's the short-term pain. We'll see what the long-term solutions are. And if he makes the right moves, we'll see. And I guess that's part of baseball, Jared.
No doubt. And, that money being freed up, if I'm the Red Sox, I understand, I'm looking at this free agent class coming up, not a whole lot doing. So if I've just freed up a bunch of money, I'm picking up the phone to Roman Anthony's agent and being like, hey, what's the number, man? Like, I'm talking to Marcelo Myers guy being like, what's the number? Like, let's, if this is the future here, then let's keep him in place. Because right now it's like, what, Tanner Houck is the longest tenured player on the team. Like, there's no money like on the books now after this Devers contract is gone. So if I'm a Red Sox fan that you've upset me greatly, do something for me now. Like, if you're going to sell me on these guys of the future, then let me believe that they'll actually be here. Because a guy that Roman Anthony got called, he's 21 years old. You got called up at 21. So I don't want another Mookie Betts situation where a player is going into free agency in the prime years of his career. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want him to be called up and have his developmental years be in Boston, and then the years where he's popping off for MVPs is for someone else. The years that he's winning World Series titles is for someone else. Go if you believe he's the guy, go bring a blank check to Roman Anthony or figure out what the number is to get him here beyond just the years that you have of his control.
Yeah, Jared Duran's agent picking up that phone, too. Forget arbitration. Get that man paid. He's Jared Carrabis, Tribal Chief of Baseball, host of Section 10. Jared, appreciate taking the time, my man. We'll keep checking in with you, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate the concern because I'm not doing well. Thank you, though. Hey,
we got love for you. We'll take a quick break on Boston's End of the Chat. When we're back, Julian Mcwilliams joins us for more on Rafael Devers. Welcome back to Boston has entered the chat. We now got our guy, Julian Mcwilliams, MLB national reporter for CBS Sports. Julian, good morning, man. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Crazy night.
Man, I know. Just over 12 hours post Rafael Devers trade. I mean, we know all the thoughts going through the Boston fans. As a guy that covers this team day to day, covers the league as well, what are you hearing that led to this shocking trade out of nowhere, sending Rafael Devers to the Giants?
Well, really, I think it started even back before spring training. You know, for what it's worth, the Red Sox didn't communicate with Rafael Devers that they were going after Alex Bregman. The Red Sox have had interest in Alex Bregman dating back to last year, and they saw this as a possibility in moving Devers off third as a possibility. Then you get to spring training, he gets there, and it's like, whoa, I'm not playing third base. And then we start asking him, are you going to play, like, would you play first base? Would you play first base? Devers obviously got defensive, like, no, I play third. I'm not playing first base. I'm not playing any other position besides third base. He ultimately ends up at DH. And then they go to ask him again after Tristan Cosby gets hurt, hey, would you play first base? He said, no, I'm not playing first base. And I got a little bit more information on this last night. They actually asked him during spring training to take ground balls at both third base and first base. He told them no, and he asked them to trade him. So the trade part happened a bit earlier than we thought it would have happened, but Devers had thrown it out there before, even in spring training, he had thrown it out there.
So that's big. I mean, if he's going back, they're saying, hey, change your position. Right. And for him to not just say no, but trade me then if you want me to change. Do you feel like that was a first fracture? And, you know, we've seen the reports that it seemed like it was unrecoverable, the relationship between Devers and the Red Sox. Do you think that really set in motion all of this? And got to a point, I guess you'd say, of no return?
Yeah, 100%. I think the Kansas City thing, too, when John Henry flew out there to try to talk to Devers, I don't think it went as he wanted it to go, and Devers ultimately didn't end up at first base. And the team needed a first baseman. I mean, they're running out, you know, for whatever it's worth, Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro, they played well, but those aren't guys you can run out there on an everyday basis. Right. And Devers, you know, that should be something that he took personally and start seeing those guys struggle out there at first base, because it's not an easy job to do. I actually think Devers can be a really good first baseman. He didn't decide to do it. So if you're looking at the situation, you're saying, hey, Rafael, you know, go play first base, and he doesn't do it, the clubhouse then becomes a dark cloud. There is this dark cloud in the clubhouse because it's this elephant in the room. They brought in Alex Bregman to be a leader, right? Because frankly, I don't think they have a leader on this team. I saw what Jared said, and he does great work, but I disagree on that front. I don't think Jared is the leader that they want for this team. Sometimes Jared is a ticking time bomb. Right. And I think for certain reasons, you never know when he's going to have, for lack of a better word, a blow up in some sense. So the Red Sox do everything in their power to sort of constrain Jaron and keep him on the straight and narrow because, you know, he's sometimes unpredictable. Bregman came there as the adult in the room. And now the only adult in the room was the guy who is now the center of attention. He's the guy who came in and messed up the relationship. So he can't necessarily step in and be the leader that he wants to be, right? And so now we're looking at this situation. We're saying, so who can be the adult in the room? It can't be Rafi, right? Even though he's the highest paid player. So it was a lot of dysfunction going on in that clubhouse, and I think so many voices even players that had come over for the first year, I'm like, man, what's going on over here? And you get people across the league. These guys talk. These guys are friends across the league.
Yeah.
The word is out on the Red Sox. It's dysfunction in there, and they had to do everything in their power to clean it up.
Julian, I don't even know if I have a question. I almost want to just talk this out with you because it's starting to make more sense in my head based off what you said. So George called it a first fracture, right? Where initially Devers said, I'm not doing that. I mean, you're in spring training dealing with this stuff. I almost think going back into time here, Julian, I know we can't do that. The Red Sox should have traded him then. Or even if you get to the Kansas City trip where the front office comes out and that meeting didn't go well, you got to trade him then. I'm looking at this now. Team's playing well. Bro hits a home run against the Yankees to help complete a sweep, and you do it now. It's, if anything, hearing what you're saying, Julian, couldn't we hold the Red Sox feet to the fire for not trading him sooner, right?
Yeah, I mean that definitely could have happened, but then you have some of the people of the population say, well, why'd you trade him so quickly? This could have been hashed out. He probably would have played first base. So there's two sides to everything. For it to get to this point at all is wild for me. And I said yesterday on a couple other platforms, and this might sound crazy, but to me this is crazier than the Mookie Betts trade. In a sense, I'm not saying that he's a better player than Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is going to the Hall of Fame. They should have never traded Mookie. I don't think that's turned out to be a catastrophic mistake. I think that set this franchise back. Mookie is Mookie who he is. But you knew that trade was going to happen, right? It was being talked about all year. This sort of just came out of left field. Yeah. It didn't. There was no preparation for this. Like it was just like, wait, what? And it was sort of like, this is the last player of that era. I know he was young. I know he's sort of a platoon player then, but he's of the Xander Bogaerts tree, right? In terms of being a guy that was of that Red Sox clubhouse with Mookie, Xander, all those guys. JD Martinez. He was the guy that was left, right? And he was the last one, the last franchise player. You traded away the first one. The second one you could have got for cheap, but you waited for him to get to free agency. He then gets that mega deal that you can't match. I don't blame them for not matching that, but they could have re-signed him prior to that. Then the last guy is Rafael Devers, and he is gone now.
Yep.
That's sort of unfathomable for me to see that since I started covering this team in 2019. All these guys were here, and you're just looking, saying, man, this future is so bright. They just came off a championship season. Right. Look at all these young guys. Now they're gone.
All out on the West Coast. And I get that maybe the trade now, but this is also a guy that, fine, would not change his position. Said, I'm going to be DH then if you want me to. Right. And he's been the second best hitter in the AL behind Aaron Judge.
Yes.
So why this return, Julian? And I understand the reports coming out that, it's fractured, unsalvageable. Why not shop the trade?
That's right.
And I get the Giants ate the entire contract, but get to the point of we need that immediate impact return. MLB players, not just prospects. That's what I can't wrap my mind around, that you're going to trade your best player, fine. But you got to do what's best for the team in a way. And, hey, let the other MLB teams bid against one another, and let's get the best return possible.
He had to be a cancer then, George, for them to make this move, right?
They're winning.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure that the front office now is, and I just haven't spoken to anybody, but this is just what I sort of presume. I don't think that the front office has necessarily they believe in this team. I think they think they're a couple, they're still some years away. They can't they can't make the routine plays. Jared, as he mentioned, they're extremely, extremely young. Yeah. And I think that they're building, and I hate to say it, but it seems like they're building for the future again. This is what it seems like. I mean, you go out and get guys with ERAs north of 4 and 2 prospects. I know one was drafted in the first round last year, but that tells you everything. And look, these guys didn't come up here and struggle. They've done that. Roman Anthony, he's struggling. Marcelo Meyer, he's played well, and I think that's the guy that you can look at to say he's been the most consistent rookie. But Christian Campbell, he's struggling immensely. There's no guarantee that these guys come up and do anything. But I think the Red Sox have invested so much in these young guys that they're saying, hey, we're willing to kick the tires on the guy who was always seen as the young guy, right? Carita, that's the young guy.
Yeah.
Right? The smiley kid.
Right.
Suddenly became became the grown up, and it was like he has to go. It's wild to me. I still can't fathom it.
Yeah, we'll hear from Sam Kennedy, Craig Breslow. They're holding a presser later on in the day, and we're going to see down the line what moves are made. You free up the cap space, you get under that tax number. We'll see what the moves are made for the immediate and the future. He's Julian Mcwilliams, MLB national reporter for CBS Sports. Julian, appreciate you taking the time, my man. Have a good one. We'll take another quick break here on Boston's End of the Chat. We'll be right back after this. George Balekji, Travis Thomas, that'll do it for us today on Boston's End of the Chat. Stay locked in all week, 8 to 9 a.m. on NESN, 9 to 10 a.m. on NESN Nation for full coverage of the Rafael Devers trade to the San Francisco Giants. Also, check out 310 to Left live on NESN right after this.
George, the timing of this trade, the return on this trade, I have more questions than answers. I hope to get some clarity and some closure in the coming days.
We'll find out, man. We'll find out. And stay locked in on Boston's End of the Chat, 310 to Left all week. You can catch a chat from 8 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, 310 to Left all throughout the week. We'll be breaking down all of this. Rafael Devers with the San Francisco Giants. What do the Boston Red Sox do moving forward? All that and more. And make sure, go to Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime to download 310 to Left and Boston's End of the Chat. Wherever you get your podcasts, you could also watch them on NESN's YouTube page. And, of course, catch Trav and myself every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. right here on NESN. We'll see you guys tomorrow.